afternoon, last day of HSC marking, almost at the parking area, it's waiting in traffic. Today is basically our final administration evening, making sure that everything's been done correctly and that there's nothing that's been missed, etc, etc. Doing the administrivia stuff, writing our feedback on the exam for future students. Because it's the final administration evening, all of the senior markers actually have to get together back at the marking centre so that we're all doing it and being checked off rather than doing it online like the marking process went. And the online from home, finishing up last Friday, was actually really quite good. The process went well, the markers were marking along and they got to the point where all of a sudden, no more marking, no more papers. All finished, all done. Said thank you very much, everybody logged off. Good process. Marking done for 2019. End of the process paperwork. Marking's one of those things that it's probably one of the best professional development activities you could do as a high school senior course teacher. You get to see responses from students across the whole state, and you get to work with other teachers and understanding what makes a high band response and what makes a mid band response and what makes a low band response. And it's one of those things that, although it creates very long days for you as a teacher, it can be incredibly stressful. It really opens your eyes to the course that you teach. It can help you in the way that you might deliver a course, the way that you might target content for the students. While it can be long, tiring and stressful, it's also incredibly rewarding because you know that you're being part of that student's education and you're also learning yourself as a teacher and as someone who delivers that content to your own students. And in a course like ours, which is so broad in its content, industrial technology has many different areas of technology that get assessed and taught. You end up learning about the other technologies that you might not necessarily teach. In that sense, it is an incredible form of professional development, and anybody who's a high school teacher who teaches seniors who doesn't do marking, now this is obviously going out to people who might be watching this channel who are high school teachers in New South Wales. If you've never done HSC marking, I'd strongly encourage you to apply for the marking of the course that you teach. You need to be currently teaching or have very recent currency in teaching the course that you want to be a marker for, and it's going to help your teaching incredibly. It's helped mine. And I've been marking now for 10 years, been a senior marker for 5 years. Actually, I've been marking for 11 years. I think 2009 was my first year. So anyway, that's another year down of marking, another year until it comes around again. And I thought I was going to be able to get my head out of that zone. And I'm going into the city in 2 days as part of the writing team. Just spent a bit of time in the storeroom organising that Merbau that the PE staff have brought in for me, and trying to organise a lot of this area a bit more. All the little floorboard pieces, new gym floorboard pieces, old gym floorboard pieces, just getting them all sort of organised, trying to get that stuff in there. And we had a lot of pine and Meranti in here, which were short pieces, which I've taken to the other storeroom. Now I've got to organise those. So you can see we got some other timber that we found lying around, which we need to get into this storeroom. This rack is meant to have all the long stuff in it, and it's getting a lot lower. It's got some random size ones here. This is where I bought all the Meranti into. This rack has been not looked after. There's stuff in there that shouldn't be in there because it's meant to be 140 by 19, so it's easier to find. I found pine over in the Tassie oak. So it needs a good organise, and little pieces that I think that are even too small for using on the lathe, I'll donate them for firewood to my kitchen assistant, because she's always after firewood for her fireplace. Before, after. Heading into the city and just made it in time for the train. I'll tell you about it in a minute. So this morning I'd missed the first train just because I slept in. Got ready for the next train and I drove down to the platform up to the station. And I normally park on the other side of the station, and I pulled up and there was all this construction fences all around the car park. They basically blocked the whole thing. So I'm up there, I had to drive that way, do about a half a kilometre to a kilometre round trip, like get across the train line, back down onto the highway, down along the highway here, come back up on the station and jump into this side of the car park on this side, and then dash up onto the station. And that's why I just caught the train this morning. And then this afternoon I'd looked up a few trains and I saw one that would get me across to Central. I probably should have been walking down the stairs just a little bit sooner, but I was going down in time to get down to the train, and it pulled away as I was coming down the stairs. So then, that's alright, I'll just catch the next one. There's another one in a couple of minutes that'll get me to Central in time for the next train. When I checked it on the Opal app, which gives you a live update, all of a sudden, instead of being on time, it said, it's running late. And it was arriving at Central a minute after my train to the mountains was supposed to leave. So when that train pulled in, can't believe I did this, I got off the train, dashed down the stairs, ran through the tunnel, if you could call my hobble at the moment a run, ran up the next set of stairs, got up to the platforms, I ran around to the country platforms, and the train was gone, and I could see it at the end of the platform. It had just pulled out. Next one was in half an hour. I just got on that one. It pulled in a bit earlier, and I asked one of the guys on the station, I said, is this the train going back up the mountains, or is this one going to be emptying off and falling out? And he goes, no, that's the one going up the mountains. So I got on it
and waited because I didn't want to miss another train. It wasn't like I was waiting for an appointment, and we did get out earlier today than expected. So I'm actually still 6:15. So I'm actually still back earlier than I expected I would be. Just because we finished a bit earlier today than was on our original working sheet. It's good. Head back to the house. Get ready for school tomorrow. Don't know if that stands out to you, but you can see all the smoke from the bushfires. Luckily, the house is above the smoke up in the mountains, but down here at school in the Sydney Basin, everything's just blanketed in smoke, so it's a bit rough on people who have breathing issues. So I've just finished with year 8. I had them twice today, period 1 and period 3. We got them to finish cutting out their metal boxes, and then once they got them all cut, we centre punched and drilled these holes, and I did that by sticking a piece of plywood up in a vise. Then they just clamp this in the vise, and that way, hands-free, they can just drill it. Once they've done that, we use the Magna Bender to bend the safety edges, so that the top of the box is going to be safe for them. And a couple of the kids even got it to the point of doing the long fold, where they fold their tabs and the short edges up, and then the final thing they'll do is they'll fold this up like this, so the tabs come up on the outside. They can drill through those holes into here to use pop rivets to attach them all. The tool we use for doing that is the Magna Bender. It's got the large pieces of steel that sit on the top and bend up and fold, so a magnetic folder, Magna Bender, whatever you want to call it. And the only issue we had today is the fact that the drills that were down in this workshop were these older Bosch ones, little 14 volt numbers. I got these back in 2015, and the NiCad batteries just tend to develop a memory in them. If they get charged and discharged, they end up just dying. And the drills have been really good. I've bought replacement batteries for them, and they've lasted a good long time, but now they just don't seem to hold a charge long enough for a class. And down in the wood room, I'd bought these little Ryobis with a smaller battery. I think these are just a 12 volt, but they're very handy, very strong. They've got a good clutch mechanism in them, so I might have to see if I can get a few more of these for this end of the school. Retire these old Bosches. And right now I need to go down the staff room because we got carpeting being done all around the school, and they told us our staff room was being done today. We moved all the filing cabinets out of the way, got the couches out yesterday, and they've done one end. They're just doing carpet tiles. Now we've got to move everything that's under the desks and in the middle of the room, everything down into that corner, so they can do the rest of the staff room. So off to do that. Friday afternoon, end of the week. Just finished with year 8. Smaller group today. Quite a few students absent. For the ones that were here, we did get the boxes put together. So we use Magna Bender and the weights to fold it all up to our box shape. Use the metal stake just here up in the vise, and a tinman's mallet just to hit these bits flat. Then that little bit of wood up in the vise, hold it on top, drill through the holes we already had in the tabs, through the steel, and we just put in a single pop rivet in each side just to create their box. So as you can see, a couple of students got it done. There's a few that have a few more bits to go. They've got part of it folded up, a couple more just a few steps behind. But that's what happens when you have students who aren't here all the time. Most of today, for me, was spent just in the staff room because the carpet being put in, they started putting it in yesterday, and because we've got basically built-in desks. Carpenters had to work around that, and we moved all of the stuff out of one end of the room. They did the carpet. Then we moved a whole stack of stuff down to that room, end of the room that was already done. Then they did the middle of the room. And then yesterday before leaving work, I got as much as I could out of the end of the room down into the middle room that had been done, and they did that end and the entrance this morning. So I'll show you that before I leave, because the staff room is looking great apart from everything piled up on the desk, but the space is looking great. Fairly hectic day in here. We've had the carpet redone throughout the whole staff room. We also had a fair bit of organising, like rearranging. There was a couple of old couches that we had down there. They became a basic dumping ground, so that area's been cleared out. And we have a little laptop charging station mounted down there. There's our calendar, filing cabinets, that sort of thing. I've just finished building this table out of leftover parts from all our old tables. Now, ignore the mess on the desks, especially that one, because while we were trying to get this room done, we had to have everything up off the floor, and so my table in particular, I just started tossing things onto my table. Not that it's much cleaner than that normally, but is now basically piled high with things, which I'm going to have to go through on Monday. But when we used to have these tables in a different arrangement, we had more of them, and this was some of the leftover parts. Now this part here basically delineates the staff area where we are and the planning side. We usually sit around this table. We do have some chairs here. We're talking about getting rid of those chairs. Of course, we can just roll over to them with our chairs when we have our meetings. This table here though, this is going to be the start of our technology table area. We've got a couple of 3D printers that my technology administrator has bought, and we're going to set those up there. And we also have a MakerBot, which is currently over in another room. Doesn't get used very often because it's over in the other room. It used to be connected to the network, but with the department's change in the way that their network is done, we can no longer print just from the staff room over to the printer and monitor it on the camera. We can't do that anymore, so you have to run across with the USB. So we're going to bring that here to this table. So the MakerBot will be here, and the other 3D printers that we've purchased, they're going to go here. Fingers crossed is for a laser cutter, which we can hopefully mount in that end of the room, or over on this side move these cabinets, because then we can vent it directly out of the room because of the windows that are behind this area here. So, like I said, been a very hectic day. It's been a massive clean out. We've got rid of a lot of stuff that was lying around there, and now it's gotten us kind of in the mood to clear out stuff. We had stuff that, especially on top of the compactus, there was things sitting up there from years ago, and they were just sitting there, and we said, yeah, this stuff hasn't been used, we can get rid of it. It hasn't been used in years and years and years. Outside it has started to rain in the last half hour, which is good for the bushfires. If it's up where the bushfires are, I'm really hoping it is, because it's a fairly heavy rain. Now I've just got to go and hook up my trailer, which is down here in the construction space, so I can take that home for the weekend and get out of here. It's been a busy day. A very, very busy day. But liking the new carpet. Looks good. Good industrial carpet, nice soft underfill, and it's they're carpet tiles, so it was easy to put down. Easy. I think that made it easier.
I'm usually not a fan of a lot of rain, especially going into the weekend when you want to try and get some stuff done. But right now, after how intense the bushfires are around here, I now know that this rain will be hitting where those fires are, because it's fairly spread out. It's basically dark and stormy in every direction. The only fear I've got is there's been a lot of lightning as well, and the last thing we want is a lightning strike. starting a fire, because this rain, even though it's heavy, might not soak in a lot and there's still a lot of really dry ground. Fingers crossed the rain helps with the fires, and fingers crossed no new fires start where there's nobody available to stop them.